Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Alarms Sports Talk. And I am thrilled today. You know why? Because this is the first time ever I've got to sit down and have a one-on-one with James Grande. Like, we've never had this time. I'm super excited to hear what we're going to talk about. I don't know how we're going to keep it to a half hour.
Yeah, I mean, I thank you for having me on, and we did share the battlefield in the roundtable discussion, but this is our first one-on-one.
Exactly.
And I'm excited, and there's some big news today too that we're going to get to talk about, especially gearing up for football season. So some exciting football news. So I'm ready, Jen.
Lots of big news, and I'm going to do my best to try not to ask for like lots of baby stories and baby pictures, but my goodness. Sorry. Okay, guys, please go ask James Grande for baby photos because it's so cute. All right. I know you didn't come here for baby photos. You can get those later. We do have big news in the NFL. George Kittle reportedly signing a 5-year contract with the 49ers. $75 million is the word, with a signing bonus of $18 million, with $30 million guaranteed at signing and $40 million in total guarantees. When this news broke, it blew the doors off any tight end contract before. Obviously, guys, we don't have to worry about Jordan Reed. What were your immediate impressions here?
I mean, he deserves it. I thought the last few seasons in San Francisco have been everything that as advertised and totally worth the money. And my next reaction was, what were the next group of big tight ends going to get paid? And, then we got that answer right away. So,
yes, we did. So that's exactly what I thought too. I thought, all right, if Kittle's getting this, what's going to happen with Kelce? And then, of course, news broke a few hours later that this Chiefs are signing Kelce to a 5-year extension. Now, Kelce wasn't due for his contract to be up till 2021. So what are your impressions of what Kansas City's doing here? I mean, first of all, where are they getting all this money? I mean, are they just trying to keep the same team they had last year for the next however many years? And are they selling their Super Bowl rings on eBay? How is this happening?
I think the latter is definitely up for debate. I think there has to be some investigating on that. I mean, my initial reaction is that he has been the most dynamic tight end in the league for quite some time. He doesn't miss any time. He's missed one game in 5 years. So, I mean, I think it's well-deserved. Now, the question is, we've heard reports that it's going to be a 5-year extension, which means he's now on the books for 6 years. That's 36, and that's not a young 36. I mean, again, doesn't miss games, so there's a lot of wear and tear on the body. He's in the trenches a lot. Obviously, he's the best fantasy tight end in football, and he will likely be that for the next few years. But I think long-term, we're talking about better value on George Kittle. Now, we also are talking about offense comparison. We have Patrick Mahomes on one end, and we have Jimmy Garoppolo on the other. If I'm one or those tight ends, I probably lean playing for Patrick Mahomes, even though sorry, Jimmy Garoppolo's okay. Sorry, John. Thanks for producing, but he no Tom Brady there. I think long-term Kittle's contract is better because he's younger, but I mean, you can't fault the Chiefs for locking up, the machine that Kelce is for the long term.
He is the machine, but I just wonder a little bit, like you said, he's 30 years old, 5 more years. So that's a long time to be playing. George Kittle, it makes sense. It's just the same for the Christian McCaffrey contract. When you saw that, it was whoa, that's bonzo money, but he's so young. Why wouldn't you? That's the time to give a running back a big contract. It's the time to give someone like George Kittle a big contract. I just wonder about the wisdom. I understood why they did Pat Mahomes. You are building your franchise around a quarterback. But this is quite now we don't have the exact numbers, but we're assuming that the Chiefs are going to try to up the 49ers and make Kelce the highest paid tight end. So whether this is a smart bet or not, I don't know,
I mean, I'm not going to say it's about winning, right? And ultimately, from a just football standpoint, not if you take out the fantasy aspect, you don't know, anything could happen. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was paid all this money, but could, have his knee blown out 2 years from now. But, Travis Kelce helped you win back-to-back Super Bowls or 3 in a row. So, I mean, I think it's a strategic move for the immediate future. You're locking up his favorite target, or obviously one of 2 favorite targets between him and Tyreek Hill.
Right.
So for the immediate future, I think it's great. Maybe there are some, maybe we shouldn't have given him 5 extra years at the end of this deal, because, we don't know if he's going to hold up playing every game for the last 5 years. But I can't like look at Travis Kelce's numbers and what he does on the field and be like, damn, he does not deserve this contract extension. So
totally. Absolutely. I just think it's very interesting. Is there any other position where it really just comes down to 2 people? I mean, like, it's not like there's just 2 wide receivers that are in the conversation for being the best. You've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Devontae Adams, you got Michael Thomas, you've got DeAndre Hopkins. Like, you have people in the conversation. But when you talk about elite tight ends, I mean, it really is. The debate is always, well, who do you like? Kelce or Kittle? Kelce or Kittle? Sure, there are other good tight ends. Zach Ertz is a talented tight end. Mark Andrews had a great year last year. But as far as like elite, it's Kelce and Kittle. So it's just pretty interesting to me that this went down exactly how it went down. It just feels like a one up. And it'll be interesting to see because, and we were talking about this before the stream, who the real life football value is and who the fantasy football value is. Like if you were drafting, I think everybody takes Kelce first as far as fantasy is concerned and Kittle second. But if you're putting together a team, who would you take?
I would probably take George Kittle. And I think first, age, I think if we're building like a franchise, I think 26. I mean, we were talking about a guy who could play for 7-8 years at a high level, 33, 34 year. PFF had 4 position players, either wide receiver, tight end, or running back, rated 90 or better last year. George Kittle was one of them. The other 3, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, and Devontae Adams. Maybe it was 3 receivers and George Kittle. Only 4 skill position players to rate above a 90. I mean, they talk about George Kittle as the best pass blocking tight end. Plus, he has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He didn't even play 16 games last year, and he had 1,000 yards. I would probably in real life start with Kittle and go Kelce. In fantasy, I don't really think it's a discussion. Kittle doesn't get in the end zone as much. The targets, I mean, Kelce, he's out of this world in terms of it's Antonio Gates like when Antonio Gates was in his prime. So I would go Kittle in real life, Kelce in fantasy.
Well, I have a feeling that we're going to be having this debate for at least the next 5 years. So that'll be fun. We're going to pop over to baseball for a little bit, guys, and then we'll probably come back and hit some more football because there's just a lot going on. Thank God, after such a drought. Okay, so stop me if you heard this before, but Aaron Judge is injured. Of course, he could be in the lineup today. We don't know. They're kind of now saying lower body tightness. How do you feel about this? Do you think Clint Frazier's now going to get a shot? Just give me your impressions of this, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Yankees team. Just in general, what are your thoughts here? I mean,
like Aaron Boone originally cited that he didn't want Judge to play 4 games on the turf in Tampa, and I think that's a horse of crap or a sack of what, because I mean, like how many times have people gone into the Trop or gone into fields with turf and played every game and not had an issue? I think there's definitely an underlying issue here, especially with a long injury history as great as Aaron Judge has been. Let's just face the facts. He gets hurt, and the fact that he can't play 4 games on turf is a serious problem. And then he's not in the lineup the next day. I think there's an underlying issue, even though, I mean, look, he's been, I'm not going to say the best player because there's a guy in the National League right now that is hitting, I don't think he's made an out in about a month. But he's pretty damn close to the top. I think Clint Frazier should be in the lineup every day. I don't think there's a doubt about it. The guy can hit. If you have to make up for his defense with a late substitution with Brett Gardner or play him at DH, fine. We saw it last night. The bat speed is tier one bat speed for a guy who has just a small sample size in the MLB. He has power. He can. He has the complete offensive package. Why do other guys get the shot? I mean, I get the Yankees are loaded, but we're seeing Mike Ford play DH. We're seeing Tauchman DH. play Clint Frazier. I mean, we're paying Giancarlo Stanton $375 million to DH. I mean, he was a pretty well-regarded outfielder in Miami. I don't understand why suddenly he can't play defense in New York. I mean, give him a chance. And so I think there needs to be a way to get Clint Frazier into lineup. And if he starts playing every day, he is going to be a very hot fantasy commodity because he can just rake. He just rakes, period. Flat out rakes. We saw it last night. We saw it in spurts when he's actually played. I think Clint Frazier deserves to play every day. Even if the defense is subpar, there's plenty of subpar defenders in baseball playing every day.
Well, that's true. And I think I do think the only way to play Clint Frazier is the DH. He did have 3 hits last night. They did win the game. But to be honest, the Yankees don't have good defenders, period. I mean, Gio Urshela, okay, yeah. But Gleyber Torres, I mean, they just don't have a great defensive team. It's all about their offense. That's how they win. They hit bombs, and Clint Frazier fits that mold. But they are so deep. They have Mike Ford, who's great against lefties. They have Mike Tauchman, who's stealing bases now. They're so deep, which, by the way, amazing pickup for me. $0, and he's helping me win my stolen base categories in Roto. It's crazy. So I'm digging that. So with Judge and Stanton out, should this continue, all these guys are going to have a shot. I'm wondering, though, are they going to become trade pieces? Like, for instance, what about sending Clint Frazier for Francisco Lindor or something like that? I mean, this is a short season. Do you think that's something that could happen?
I mean, if the Yankees are going to make a move, they have to make one for a starting pitcher. I mean, right now, if like the season were to end today, if it wasn't Garrett Cole, rain out, Garrett Cole in the postseason, I don't think we would win a series. So I think it would have to be for a starting pitcher.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. I expect Gleyber Torres to get back to what he was last year. So I don't think there's like a need for Lindor. I would kind of be disappointed if Frazier was moved for a non-starting pitcher, knowing the lack of depth there. J-Happ sucks. Let's just be frank about it. Tanaka is still
not right
back, and his fastball was like barely touching 90. I don't even think it touched 90 last night. So I think there's a concern there. So if Frazier were to be moved, which I think is obviously a conversation if he's coming into the lineup, playing every day, as we see Stanton and Judge getting ready to come back, well, now let's move Frazier. I think that's definitely a possibility.
I do think your point is really good about the Yankees. If you remove Garrett Cole, I think their ERA is over it's almost 8. It's something ridiculous like that, the other starters. And luckily they do have a good bullpen, and they just have offense. They hit. Right. So they're okay. But even when you're looking at lines, guys, if you're going to bet on a game, remember that unless Garrett Cole's pitching, it's entirely possible that the other team can get to the Yankees starters. And a lot of times you can take the over on the run total there because the Yankees are going to put up the offense, and their opponent probably will as well. So that's something I've been noticing a lot when you're looking at sports wagers and lines, wherever you're playing, if you happen to do anything like that. Now, there's some interesting things going on in MLB, right? It's a 60-game season, lots of weird stuff. So I would just want to run some things by you that are basically based on how things are today. And I want you to know if you're buying or selling it for a 60-game season, because it's a sprint and not a marathon, apparently. Right. All right. Are you buying or selling that the Marlins will win the NL East? Right now, they are way ahead of the Atlanta Braves in win total.
I was on the fence about this. I'm going to sell, and I don't think the pitching holds up. I think they've been pretty lucky in terms of pitching. When you look at the numbers, they're 19th in team ERA. They allow the second most home runs per 9 innings. Obviously, those home runs haven't been impactful enough. They've mostly been solo shots, or we'd see more losses in that column. And third highest xFIP. So we're due for some even worse regression there. So I'm selling the Marlins. Plus, the Nationals have been very unlucky with health, and we've only seen one Strasburg start. Juan Soto's only played 6 games. So I think the Nationals are still. Their
win total's like 368.
I really think that if you get, Scherzer left to start. Scherzer, Strasburg can literally carry them to the postseason. So I would still go Nationals over Marlins, probably Atlanta too. It's been a good story. I just don't think the Marlins pitching holds up.
Okay, I'm with you. I actually think, though, it's going to be the Braves and not the Nationals. But we'll see.
I'm worried about the Braves pitching.
I'm worried about the Braves.
Without Soroka, I'm worried about the Braves pitching.
I'm worried about the Braves pitching, too. Certainly, Sean Newcomb was not doing anyone any favors last week, especially not if you actually played him. Hope you didn't. All right, so Charlie Blackman is absolutely on fire. This is one I think... this is an interesting one. I believe he's batting about 500 right now, like actually 500. Now, as you know, Coors Stadium, it isn't just for home runs. People don't realize this, but it also boosts everyone's average. That's what the park factors tend to do if you look over it historically. He's on fire. He's supposedly old. You people weren't taking him in drafts. I got him late. Thank you very, very much. I know he doesn't steal anymore, but he's batting almost 500. But my question to you is, and there's already been way too many comparisons made to icons, so this is a 60-game season, so let's get real about it.
Right.
Will Charlie Blackman hit 400 this season?
I'm buying 400.
I'm buying it too.
He has 20 games at home and 22 on the road. He's hitting 438 on the road. So it's not like there's been a big drop-off. Also, I think it's interesting. I was looking at, like, he's hitting third this year, which I thought was an interesting lineup shift. 414 career hitter out of the 3-hole. So maybe he's just really comfortable there. Like you said, he's not stealing. He's just literally focusing on one thing, and that's raking. So I'm buying over 400, 60-game sample. I mean, he really has to slump to not hit 400 for the rest of this year. So 12 of 15 games, he's had 2+ hits, 12 of his last 15. So I'm buying Charlie Blackman.
I'm too. He's way out in front. It sounds crazy, but it is only 60 games. And again, and this is kind of maybe a silly thing to talk about, but he's already had COVID-19. So we're not concerned about him missing games for illness. And I think he's just ready to play. So I think he's going to hit 400 as well. All right, here's one. The Houston Astros will end with a losing record.
I mean, I'm going to sell. I think there are glaring holes. I think, obviously, Verlander and the rotation in general. I mean, McCullers can't pitch outside of Houston. That's been his whole career. If he's outside of Houston, he can't pitch there. He doesn't know how to. Greinke's 36. Verlander's not there. So I think the pitching is obviously a concern. I don't think Jose Altuve is going to suck this bad for much longer. I think your offense is going to be perfectly fine and carry you for most of the season. And they're under 500 with this terrible pitching staff, with all these guys struggling, but it's only a couple games under 500. So even if they're not going to win the division or win the World Series, I don't see them finishing under 500. So that's a sell for me.
I agree, and it's not just because I'm a Houston Astros fan, but, so far their average runs per game for Houston is 5.18, so that is the 5th highest in the league right now. They're still putting up offensive numbers. It's just their pitching. They have to get it right. They've had so many debuts. Now, McCullers is very, very good at home. I think he'll be fine. Because the offense can still support him, even if he puts some men on, all of that. So ultimately, I think they're going to win. But they are a little messed up right now with their pitching situation. So many debuts, so many guys getting injured. They don't have their usual closer. Ryan Presley hasn't looked ideal. Apparently, Greinke last night was actually calling his own pitches out loud and letting people know. So that's how we're giving back to you guys from the cheating scandal. We're going to give you our signs, and it'll be fine. Greinke will be fine. Not worried about his age. So I think offensively, and let's not forget, we don't yet have Yordan Alvarez back.
Right.
So once Yordan Alvarez's bat is back in the lineup, and even Aledmus Diaz, who we can move all around the diamond, then I think that this is just short-lived, and hopefully we can just that horrible bullpen. Oh.
Yeah, it's I mean, your whole staff needs a revamp as of right now, but maybe with health, right?
Yeah, maybe with health. You guys, give up on Forrest Whitley, okay? Everyone that keeps asking me about Forrest Whitley, tweeting me, done. Just dump him, cut it. It's not happening. He's not good anymore. He's got too many problems. No Forrest Whitley. No more Forrest Whitley questions. Cut him. All right. The Baltimore Orioles will finish over 500.
Oh, sell. I can't sell fast enough. I mean, the schedule is not in their favor. They play the Yankees 8 more times. They play Tampa 7 times. They play 3 in Atlanta, 3 against Washington. The Orioles pitching is dreadful. They are going to, it's only a matter of time before, I know you love Alex Cobb. I get it.
I don't love Alex Cobb. I just think that if you're working the waiver wire and you need someone, get Alex Cobb. Please do not misunderstand that I love Alex Cobb.
I misinterpreted, a little misinterpretation there. Either way, after Alex Cobb, guys like Tommy Malone and Wade LeBlanc are, pitching every 5th day. That's bad, especially when you have to play your home games in Baltimore and there's going to be plenty of offense there. I can't. That was the easiest sell. They played the Yankees 2 weeks ago, and I thought they were the worst team in the history of baseball. Their offense, all guys that have never been this good are vastly better than they've ever been. Yeah, they're overperforming, and they're come back to earth and sell. They're going to be competing with the Red Sox for the worst record in the division.
Oh my gosh, the Red Sox! I won't even ask you about the Red Sox because that's just wow.
Sell whatever the question could be. Sell
if it's a Red Sox, sell. Okay, here's the last one in this category. Let's do Jacoby Jones will hit 12 home runs.
I want to say push. I want to say it's a push.
I made it hard. I tried to pick the number that would be hard for you. I thought 12.
Last year he slugged. It was his best slug year. 11 home runs in 80+ games. He's already out to 5. I think he could get to 12. I think Jacoby Jones is never going to be the guy that we get for a month, a year. It's always the beginning of the year. Jacoby Jones has been great, and then Jacoby Jones is a bottom 10 player in baseball. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go with a push. I'll be safe and say he hits 12 exactly.
I think yeah. I like that call. I mean, I haven't looked at StatCast in a week or two for Jacoby Jones, but last I checked, it looked like he was elevating the ball a lot more this year. So I think it's possible that he will hit 12 home runs, maybe even a few more. And I think he's worth rostering in a short season. I went out and picked him up. At first I was like, guy doesn't hit 300. Come on. But he's still hitting 300. He's making better contact. He's elevating the ball. I think for 60 games, he can give you enough production to keep him around. But I agree. I don't think he's a superstar. This is not a huge Jacoby Jones breakout. All right. Cool. Jacoby Jones. This is going so fast. We have so much more. Okay, so let's just touch on some DFS in case anyone's playing today. We want to help you out. It's a pretty small slate, and James was just telling me that it looks like even one of the games may be rained out, which is kind of a bummer. But I'll just why don't we each just give a few impressions for maybe some players that would be good to roster today? Just a couple, maybe a pitcher, a couple hitters, something like that. You want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think if Baltimore and Philly does not get rained out, and I think that game is the likeliest to not play. I think Bryce Harper at the top is probably the best spend of the day. 5,400 on DraftKings. Bryce Harper has been off to maybe his best start ever, just as a hitter, not even as a power hitter. I mean, he's been really good. 3 straight multi-hit games. He's scoring a lot of runs. He hasn't struck out a lot, which, that has been Bryce Harper's MO. I think there's been a new approach at the plate, and it's been great to see. I mean, this is the phenom we've waited for and helped him win an MVP. So I think Bryce Harper, 5,400 against Eshelman. We get the split advantage there. I think I'm not going to guarantee a home run, but 20 fantasy points tonight. I think Bryce Harper is the best spend up on the slate.
$5,400 on DraftKings. He was also on my list. He was my spend-up hitter as well. So obviously, I think that's a great choice. I have someone kind of a little below that as well. It's Jose Martinez for $4,500. He's batting third, and he's facing a lefty. And I don't know if you guys all realize this, but he is phenomenal against lefties. He's batting .323 in his career with 16 home runs and 322 plate appearances versus lefties. And he's facing a lefty making his major league debut with Boston. as we just mentioned, Boston is giving up, let's see, they're giving up 5.06 runs per game, which is about the 7th most allowed so far, and they're just a mess over there. So I feel like Jose Martinez could have a day. 4,500 worth taking a look. Pitching-wise, from the same matchup, maybe a little expensive, but I actually like Glasnow tonight, and I understand he had a bad outing last time, but this is a high upside play. He's striking people out at a rate of 15 strikeouts per 9 on the season, and I feel like Red Sox could be a get-right game for him. He needs to avenge last week. Obviously, he needs to get the control issues figured out, but, you know, he had one bad game, much like Lance McCullers did. I think he could easily come back and have a Lance McCullers-like snapback versus a team like Boston, and that could pay off for you.
Yeah, and we should see the Glasnow pitch count back up around like 90, because we saw 88 the start prior to that Yankees game, and then, you know, they had to take him out because he wasn't getting the job done. But I think we should see that pitch count back up in the 90s. Now he's going to have to start gearing up sooner or later, getting up closer to 100. So I agree with the Glasnow call. I think this I'm just going to stick with Tampa. Go down to the cellar and go Mike Brossaugh, who's actually leading off against a lefty. Death taxes Brossaugh versus lefties this year. 8 for 20, 3 bombs, and he's leading off. And you mentioned it. I mean, Jose Martinez. This is a nice little 1-2 stack here. Because, you know, why not? We're getting, like you mentioned, Kyle Hart making his debut. Hard to go against. Hard to not like a $3,400 leadoff hitter hitting 400 with a 576 WOBA against left-handers. So I think Mike Brossaugh is your go-to value of the day.
Yeah, and if you want to do one more semi-value, and this is, again, iffy, but it's only $3,100. On the other side of that, Alex Verdugo is leading off tonight, and he's had a hot bat lately. So I do think Glasnow will be good. They'll still have to get into the bullpen, and you know, I mean, Tampa Bay does have a strong bullpen. So, but still, you know, he could get some hits. Verdugo. I kind of like Verdugo for $3,100. So, you know, that's another thought. Obviously, probably a lot of people are going to be playing Yu Darvish tonight.
Especially on the small slate. I mean, and Milwaukee's offense has been very disappointing. So I think the point on Verdugo would be interesting. Like, on these smaller slates, you do try to differentiate with, like, ownership. And I don't think anyone would play Verdugo because I think everyone's going to play Glasnow. So if you are not playing Glasnow,
that's right.
I don't think it hurts to take a shot on a Boston batter or two. I mean, we just saw Glasnow isn't untouchable. We just saw the Yankees touch him up last start. So, I mean, that price tag is pretty hard to beat. And if you play him, you can get the Bryce Harpers. You can get Cubs against Brett Anderson, who I think is another popular approach. So
that's right. Javi Baez. That's a good play tonight.
Javi, Chris Bryant. I mean, I think both those guys are elite. Wilson Contreras. Rizzo, yeah, he hits lefties. It's true. He hits lefties very well. So I think Verdugo's a definitely contrarian GPP, not something I would do in cash, but GPP for sure. Definitely a tournament play for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, I mean, we're almost out of time, so just for fun, we said we would do some NFL bold predictions. Let's just do one or two, just for fun. Give me a bold NFL prediction for this season, James Grande.
So I'm just gonna be. I'm gonna be crazy here. Okay. And I'm gonna do Jack Doyle is a 1,000-yard receiver with Phillip Rivers.
I don't have a problem with that.
A 1,000-yard receiver with Phillip Rivers.
It's a little ambitious.
It is ambitious. 100% crazy. But Phillip Rivers is the tight end. Like, if you want, like, we deem Howard the tight end whisperer of the fantasy world. Like, if you want to deem, like, a real life quarterback as the tight end whisperer, like, it's Phillip Rivers. I mean, Ladarius Green caught 75 passes in a season. Ladarius Green, I don't think 75% of the world knows, or like 99% of the world knows who Ladarius Green is. And we know, like, Antonio Gates. We know Hunter Henry caught 75 balls last year in a condensed season. So, I mean, We've seen Jack Doyle get over 100 targets in a season in the past with Andrew Luck as, the primary tight end. There's now Eric Ebron has left, and it's Jack Doyle's tight end. It's his position to lose. I'm going 1,000 yards, Jack Doyle, which obviously puts him in the top 10, probably the top 5 for fantasy tight ends this year.
Yes,
so that's a little bold. But
bold. Yeah. All right. I got one. Will Fuller will stay healthy for 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Like,
I could have just stopped at Will Fuller will stay healthy, and that would have been a bold prediction, right?
Right. I like if there was no health, I think he could definitely do it. But Will Fuller staying healthy that's the key, right? Like, he just has to stay healthy. But again, he just came out and said, without DeAndre Hopkins, we're all going to eat. Like, there's a lot of targets to go around. And I agree.
I think he's going to stay healthy enough for 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to play all 16 games. I think he'll be healthy enough for that. And I think without Nook there, that he is actually one of Deshaun Watson's favorite targets. And people are all like, oh, no, it's Cooks now. I think Cooks is going to have opportunities too, but he's just as much an injury risk. He's just as likely to get a concussion as Will Fuller is to, stub his toe. So I'm going with Will Fuller here. I think it's going to be, I think Will Fuller's going to be numero uno, and I think he's going to do at least 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns.
And we saw the potential. He scored 4 touchdowns in a game just last year. So I can't dispute it. Let's just see Will Fuller stay healthy and then let's see how it plays out. Because I agree, if he does play a lot, we likely, like you said, not going to play all 16. If he plays a lot, I think there's definitely a chance.
I think there's a chance too. So you're saying there's a chance?
I think there is a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. All right, guys, this has been awesome. I can't believe our time is already up. If you're not following us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, and even on Twitch, then I don't know what's wrong with you, because this is the best content you're going to get for free. We're going to help you with your wagers, with your fantasy, with baby pictures, maybe with hairstyling advice. Adam Ronis, he does a lot with hair. He has ponytails and all that. We got a lot. We can do it all for you. So please hit us up. If you have questions, reach out to us. Thank you to John and Pimba for producing today's show. And thank you to James Grande for being with me today. We will catch you guys next time.